بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. Can I read the Root Sharif together? اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. All praise and thanks be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has once again given us another day, given us another opportunity to sit, to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to worship Him, to listen to His words, and to listen to the words of His beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with countless blessings, and from amongst them is being from the ummah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That being a part of this ummah means that we are a part of the ummah of the one who is most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the most. And there is so much emphasis put on this ummah, so much love has been given to this ummah, that even prophets wanted to be a part of this ummah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has picked and chosen each and every one of us to be a part of this ummah. Do not think that you are just a random one that is here, but Allah picked everybody by name and wanted them to be a part of this ummah. So this is something to be very grateful for and to be thankful about it, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us so much more than we can even imagine. And the more and it is something to understand, when a person has something precious, something which is valuable, they take care of it with all of their life. With everything that they have, they will try their best to keep it in a safe place, hide it away so that nobody knows. So this, being a part of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's ummah, it is this jewel and it is this precious thing that we have. Because of it, we have to understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with iman. We have the kalima. We recite La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And this is the only thing which will cause and grant us salvation on the day of judgment. It is the only thing which is going to get us everything that we need. Without this kalima, we will be absolutely nowhere. Without the kalima, we will get nowhere. And the weight of this kalima, as they mentioned in the hadith, that on the day of judgment, a person will come and all he will have is the kalima. Everything, the whole world and everything that it contains will be put on one side of the weight. And the kalima will be brought on a piece of paper. And that will be put on the other side of the scale. And everything else will be lifted. The kalima will outweigh everything. And this is the blessing that we have been granted and we have been given. Allah mentions in the Quran, كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ, that we are the best of all ummahs. Every single ummah that came before us, we are better than. Why are we better? تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ, because we enjoin towards good and forbid evil. Enjoining good and forbidding evil, it was the duty of the prophets and the messengers that came. What would they do? Whenever it was a time, an opportunity, whenever the nations were going away from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah would send a prophet, Allah would send a messenger. And they would say, come towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, follow him, follow his commands, and follow the messenger at that time. And whoever accepted it, they would be successful. And whoever went against it, either Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would punish them, or they would die on disbelief. So this is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again, He blessed us, majority of us, all of us born with the kalima on our lips. We didn't have to make any kind of effort, we didn't have to do anything, it was just put into our lap. Then when we look into the stories of all of the Sahaba who had to go through so much difficulty in order for this kalima. Very simple example, everybody knows the story of Hazrat Bilal radiallahu ta'ala. How much he had to go through. Imagine having a heavy rock put on your chest, being dragged along the burning sand. Why? Just because he believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And still, ahadun ahad. Ahadun ahad. We could very easily have been broken in that kind of a situation, but his iman, it was so strong that he did not care what anyone else thought. He knew what the truth was. And alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put us on this path, and we have to be grateful about it. We have to be thankful for it, and we make sure that we do everything possible to protect this beautiful gift that we have been given. And the way that we are able to protect it is by acting upon this ayah which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent. Of course, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is our prophet. He is our messenger, our leader, the one whom we look towards to try and find a way through this life. But he is no longer with us. So the next best thing is to follow the commands that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has and what was left behind from the sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So this ayah mentions تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ, that enjoining towards good. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned in the hadith, مَنْ رَأَى مِنْكُمْ مُنْكَرًا فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ بِيَدِهِ, that if a person sees something being done which is not right, something which is disliked, something he should not be doing, he should try and stop it with his hand. He should try and stop it with his hand. Now stopping with his hand, it means he goes to that person and he takes him to the side and he gives him some good advice and he speaks to him in a nice way and he tries to explain to him and advise him that this is not the correct way and this is how you can do it better. And the approach that the person is going to go with is the thing which will determine whether this person takes his advice or not. In the commentary of the ayah, it has been mentioned that a person has to go to that person with gentleness, to speak to him with gentleness, to ask him and to speak to him in a gentle way. If a person really wants something, a person should not be going like that, thinking that you are the one that is completely wrong and this is what you have to change. If you go with this kind of a mindset, a person is not going to listen. That we have to remember that hidayah and guidance is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only with the words that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us, which is through the sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, can we make this happen. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he tried his best to change all of the thoughts and the mindset that the people had at the time when he was living. That the people of ignorance, what they thought, what they had was in their mind, that this is wrong and this is the way it is done. But the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the way that he approached them, the way he spoke to them, this is what made a difference in their life. Because he spoke with them with gentleness and kindness. He never forced anything upon anyone. So this is what we have to remember when it's time to give some kind of advice. We advise with gentleness. We advise with kindness. And we give people opportunities, chance after chance. How many chances Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave to other different people? He didn't say, okay, he didn't go to, so many times he went to Abu Jahl. So many times he went to his uncles to ask them to accept the truth and the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But every single time, they rejected. So just because somebody rejects doesn't mean that we give up. We have to keep on trying and making sure. So this is what this part of the hadith means. مَنْ رَأَى مِنْكُمْ مُنْكَرًا فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ بِيَدِهِ. That with your hand it means whatever capacity that you are able to do. And that includes with your speech. That use it, but use it in a good way, in a kind way, in a gentle way. And explain to people why we should be doing what we are doing. فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ بِيَدِهِ فَإِنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ. If you're not able to, فَبِلِسَانِهِ. Now of course, you've got your tongue. So the difference here is with your tongue, you can go to other people and ask them that, this is the situation, what is going on. Maybe if you speak to such and such a person, it will have a better effect. That you are closer to that person. You are maybe able to help him more. Maybe you have a better way of explaining it to him. So he will take on the advice. So sometimes because of who it is coming from, the person doesn't want to listen. But this is where we have to always understand and realize the most important thing is don't look at who is saying something, but listen to what is being said. What is being said is the most important thing. If we were to always look at, if somebody is who we do not like, and we just, every time they start speaking, just imagine all of you are sitting here, you don't like me. You don't like me. Nobody likes me here, okay? So the point of me sitting on here, it would be pointless. Because as soon as I start speaking, you're going to close your ears off. Forget that guy. He's just always talking. He never stops. So you have to be, this is where Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he tried so hard with building relations. That if a person builds that relation, sometimes what happens, we want to give advice to somebody, we go straight up to them, haram. Whatever you're doing is completely haram. What's that person going to do? He's going to close the door shut. No, don't come back to my house ever again. Don't speak to me. So there's a way of speaking to people. And this is what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had. He had a way, he would get to know people. He would speak to them. He would try his best. And slowly, he would try and advise people. So this is where we have to learn from this. So the next part was, which Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, that if you're not able to do anything about it yourself, then go to somebody else. Maybe that person will have a better connection and relation with that person. And this is where we have to understand, it is not, it is of course our responsibility as well. That to have that concern for other people. A person you can say, I'm going to go into my grave and you're all going to go into your grave. So what is the point of me doing anything for anyone else? So if I just sit and I do everything that I need to, I worship Allah, I do everything possible, then I will be safe, I'll have nothing to worry about. But we are one ummah. We should be helping each other as much as possible. The more effort we put within ourselves, within the community, it has an effect on every single person. The same way, if a father in the house, or a mother in the house, she just worries, or he just worries about himself. It's okay, let the kids do what they want. Let my wife, let my husband do whatever they want. It's going to have an effect on the whole household. Just because one person is doing it, that doesn't make it enough. Each and every single person, we all have that responsibility. And because Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is not here, so now that responsibility is on each and every single one of us. So if we have an open heart, if we are always ready to take on the advice which is given to us, then it will have an effect on us. But if you're always going to have a closed heart and a closed mind, that who are you to tell me that you do this wrong and you do that wrong? So this is what happens nowadays as well, that when did you become so perfect? This is what they say. If somebody tries to give you advice, when did you become so perfect? Who are you to say something to me? Each and every one of us, we have things within us which are shortcomings. We have issues and we have problems. But we have to encourage one another and help each other. And then the final part of the hadith, Mr. mentioned, فَإِن لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَبِقَلْبِهِ. And if you're not able to even go to somebody else, at least think of it in your heart that this thing which is being done is incorrect. And if I was able to, and if I had the chance to, I would do something about it. I would say something about it. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, وَذَلِكَ أَضْعَفُ الْإِيمَانِ. This is the weakest form of Iman. And even having this is good. The issue and the problem will become when something being done in front of us is wrong, but we have absolutely no problem with it. In our heart, we don't even think that the thing being done is wrong. This is when a person will start to lose his iman and his faith. The most important thing that we have to do is always look and think, whatever it is that is being done, is this according to the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not? And if it is not, then we should try and do these three things. Number one is we try and advise that person by ourselves. If we are not able to advise that person, then we speak to somebody who can advise that person. And if we can't even do that, then think in our heart that this thing is completely wrong. This is something which will bring the displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that means we have to speak up. To speak up. We are always very quick to speak up about things which are with regards to dunya. This thing is not going right for me. Let me go and phone up the councillor, phone up the company, see what they can do about it. But in the same way, we have to make that effort with our deen as well. That when something is being done wrong in our own house, as a father, as a mother, as an elder, we cannot just sit back and let it happen. We have to encourage and we have to explain and advise our children. Whoever is at home, we explain to them in a loving way. Like Muhammad mentioned, with rifq, with softness, with gentleness. This is the way that you can get through to your children. If you're always going to shout at them when they do something wrong, they'll never listen. Never will they listen. Because, I'm always getting in trouble. I'm always being shouted at. So if we take them to the side, and especially when they have other siblings as well. So when nobody likes being embarrassed in front of everyone else. Nobody likes being told off in front of everybody else. So the best thing to do is you take your child to the side and you explain that such and such a thing, this is not the correct way to do it. This is the way that we should do it. So will you try your best to do it this way the next time? So this is the kind of way, this is the conversations that we need to have with our children. Back in our days when we were growing up and the generation above me, it was your dad came to you, you done something wrong and whack, done, finished. You understood that this is the wrong thing and you will never do that again because you don't want that slap again. But these things don't work anymore. This is not the teaching of Islam either. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam didn't say that smack your kids to make them understand. He said to bring them close, speak to them, advise them, tell them the right way to do it. Especially when they're from a young age. So youngsters, they understand things much better when it's explained to them, especially when it comes to things to do with deen. If we instill deen into them from a young age, it will have benefit to them. But if we wait till they're much older, then it'll be very difficult. So these are the things that we can implement and bring into our life. And this is what the Sunnah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is there for. To help us with our daily life. All these things, every single parent, they go through. And they find these difficulties. But when we look into our deen, it is a beautiful deen. And it has many ways for us to deal with all of these challenges. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the understanding and the ability to act upon these things. Ameen wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Everyone can just move forward and fill in the gaps and pray your sunnahs, please.